What's up to all you dads out there and everybody supporting the Daddies Love You podcast? This is a podcast about fathers' rights movement and equal shared parenting. We're really out here for everybody, but it's mainly for the kids. That's what we need to be focusing on. And this is all about the babies. It ain't about men and women or whatever. This is about our kids and doing what's right. So tonight I got Shelby on as a guest, and he's going to tell us a story. And this can get a little crazy and stuff, might get a little explicit, and everything, but bear with us, and we're going to have a good time tonight. All right, what's up, Shelby? Thank you for coming
What's
on.
going
Appreciate
on? I
having you.
appreciate you having me.
Well, we'll go ahead and just get started, man, if you want to, and talk about your childhood, I suppose. Go ahead.
All right. So growing up, I didn't really know my dad until I was like between 8 and 13. He was on and off. When I did finally, my mom was there. She's my rock. I actually got her for Christmas. I got her a necklace that's a lock and a key and says "You're my rock" because she's always been there for me in the
Oh yeah.
good and the bad. So most definitely on that. With that being said, one of my dad, he when he finally started coming around, he would take me around multiple women. So when he took me around multiple women, I would get in trouble because I'm 8 and I'm not remembering nobody's name. So then I'm calling them the wrong name.
Oh
So
yeah.
hey, you getting in trouble because you're basically telling on me. So I really feel like that plays a big role into how I father now. You know what I mean?
Okay.
To where I'm not bringing my kids around multiple people, or I try to keep them to myself because not because I'm cheating or anything of that nature, just so that they know that my attention is for them, not for us to keep to show me off or to do anything of that nature. So definitely a strong background within that. Like I said, my mom's been there for me my whole ride. So
Oh yeah. So you're saying that you learned what not to do from your dad
most
instead of
most
what
definitely,
to do. Yeah.
most definitely. With that, so finally he settles down. I finally get a brother and sister. You know what I mean? And he kind of settles down, and you know, but by that time I've already built up this I won't say hate, but frustration
Hmm.
um for him because of the past, and that's something that I'm working through now is to try to forgive him for because growing up you don't understand that your parents are growing up too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me to see him as a father figure, but in reality he's just another guy trying to make it, and still be able to spend time with his son. So when he finally did start coming around a lot more frequently, I didn't give him the praise of, hey, most people don't even have this. It was more of a dysfunctional, yeah, you're my dad, but I don't really like you that much. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's just something that I'm working with now is just trying to keep myself in the know as hey, he was growing up just like I'm growing up now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
So
how hard is that kind of to deal with? Is you get a lot of internal dialogue with yourself that you have to deal with all the time, or is
just
he
just for real, it's just and some of it can be sibling jealousy. Not really there for me, but was definitely there for my siblings.
oh
They
yeah.
got they got brand new cars. I'm not saying that I'm riding in a bucket, but I had to get it myself. You know what I'm saying? Nothing was handed to me. You know what I mean? So I've definitely had to work basically from me getting out of high school. I've worked to make the life that I have now, which
So
is
you
an which,
so you're
which
saying
is
with
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry.
No,
I
you
was gonna say so having that blended family, you feel like that they always got way more attention than you, not just because of the fact that he's with them all the time, but even now as an adult when they're grown up, it's still the same kind of thing.
you know, and the funny part is that with that being said, they're growing up, they're actually seeing what I've always seen, and
Oh
now
wow.
they're starting to resent him for the things that I've always seen. So now me and my siblings are super close. And not in the super close we resent our dad, but like hey, this is what we got, you know what I'm saying? And this is what we
Mhm.
have to roll with. So most definitely on that end.
So did your mom, I mean, your mom never kept him from trying to come around. It was just your dad that was,
No, my mom never kept it. I mean, my dad used to beat my mom, and still
yeah.
to this day has never told him no, he couldn't see me. You know what I mean? So that was
Mhm.
strong resolve on her end. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? To be able to say, hey, finally breaking away and actually being her own woman and still being able to say, I know that you've hurt me, but this is your son. And
Yeah.
you had a part in making him. So I'm not gonna keep you from seeing him because he's yours as well as mine.
Right. That's amazing.
So
And guys, I met Shelby's mom, and she's the one that kind of turned me on to even having him on here. And
most definitely.
she's a hell of a woman. Just in that, what was that, 5 hours that I got to be around y'all in person, man,
Yes, sir.
it's pretty awesome. So I
Yes,
know
sir.
that takes a lot of strength from both sides to be able to do that, and that's the right thing to do. And I know it had to be hard for her to know that you were going through that stuff too. But trying to give him
Benefit
the
of the
benefit
doubt.
of the doubt, yeah, and well, and giving him the room to hopefully grow as a person and be better and stuff like that and everything, instead of just saying no, you did this and we're just going to shut you off, because
Most
it
definitely.
happens on both sides. That's one of the things that I love about this, is that we're getting it from the woman's perspective too with your mom. You know what
Most
I mean?
definitely. Most definitely. Um, but so growing up, like I said, I played basketball, very active, track. And then I had my first kid at 16. Um, and my mom was very supportive. Definitely on the legal aspect and on the know of what I needed to do to be because you got to think, I don't know what a good father is. Not saying my
Right.
dad was the crappiest, but he I didn't know what a father was supposed to do, how he was supposed to coach, how he was supposed to bring you up, and then when you think about it, who does?
Yeah,
You know,
that's
you,
right.
you really
Yeah.
you really don't know how someone is supposed to be. You really just go with the flow and kind of just make sure that you're giving them that right and wrong and letting them decide. And then saying, "Hey, you decided this is the consequences or this is the reward."
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Yeah. And like you said before, he was growing up too. And there's a million books on this shit, but there ain't no way to really tell somebody and teach somebody all the stuff that you're gonna have to deal with, especially because like our kids are so influenced by what's going on outside of the home too, like at their friends or being in daycares and school and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like so much parenting is just like guidance through the mistakes that we made. And if we didn't make the mistakes, it's hard to be able to say, well, I know what to do here,
Right, right, right.
and to
No,
guide them right.
most definitely. So I definitely agree with that. I think that some of the situations that I've came into as a father, I don't think no book could teach me how to navigate through how I navigated through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So most definitely on the aspect, so I definitely agree.
All
I
right, well, let's
definitely
go
agree.
ahead. Let's go ahead and talk about your daughter, the one that you had at 16, and kind of
Yes.
what's going on there. Because I mean, I think we've established that you are intelligent enough to be able to go past your parents' generational sin, and to be able to be a better parent,
Most definitely.
to your kids for
Definitely.
sure.
So I had her at 16. I was still a junior in high school. She literally straightened me out. I was making bad decisions. I was selling drugs. I wasn't the upstanding citizen. I was literally still trying to cry for help, in that aspect of not really knowing what life had for me. You know what I
Right.
mean? So when I had my child, I stopped all that, and I'm trying to be a better father for her because I didn't want her to resent me or to have a frustration towards me like I did for my father.
Right.
So, so we literally battled together until she was about six, 6 or 7. Leading up to that, I could not get her mother to give me my child, which was a very hard struggle for me because I'm 16. I didn't have my license. Her mom lived in Richmond. So with that being said, I had to ask somebody to take me, excuse me, had to take me to Richmond to get my daughter. And then after begging somebody or paying somebody to get her, she wouldn't even be there.
Oh,
Hey,
she wouldn't even be home.
oh no, oh no. So at one point in time, I went 4 months. I went 4 months without seeing my daughter, and I'm irate. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the love of my life. You really don't know what love is until you have a kid, because you can
Hey,
tell a girl growing up, "I love you," and then you actually have a kid and be like, "This is a whole totally
that's
different thing of love."
that's true love. True love.
Yes.
Yeah. When we had my first son or my son with my ex-wife, that was one of the very first things I told her. I said, I hate to tell you this, but like there's no love like this. It's like I'll, never love
That's
anything
there's a
child.
lot of things I would do for this love versus the love that I was offering before this love came about.
Right.
You
Oh
see,
yeah. I
right?
like the way you said
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. That's good.
so so I didn't see her for 4 months, but she was all over my Facebook. I mean, every picture I had, it was me and her, me and her.
Yeah.
So I was working at Enterprise at the time, and a guy writes me on Facebook and says, "Hey, is that kid on your Facebook your daughter?" And and now I'm getting defensive, like, all right, I got one of those weirdos,
Hmm.
hey, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, uh, this little girl has been staying at my house for 4 months. And I would think that if you're her father, that you have been looking for her. And I said, I have. I've already asked her mom. I said, nobody has seen or heard from my baby's mother. So I've asked her mom, I asked her sister, I asked her uncle, like, bro, I need to know where my child is at. So this guy, he's like, well, she's here, and it's in Jimstown, which is kind of out the way of Russell Cave. If
Yeah.
you're a Lexingtonian,
Yeah.
if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. But
Actually know a whole lot of the family that like owns all that property out there and stuff.
yes.
So
So he's like, yeah, I live in Jimstown, man. You can come whenever. I said, oh, I'm leaving work now.
hell yeah.
I called my mom. We drove out there. My baby's mother was literally shocked. When I say stunned, how does he know that I'm out here? You know what I mean? Lying to that family saying that I'm not the child's father when I already had gotten a paternity test. I have the paperwork. She is my child. Um, how are you telling these people that I'm not her father? You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
we ended up taking her and keeping her from that point on. So by that time, around that, what I think I said, she was about 4. She was about 2 or 3. She was already walking and talking. So we're gonna say around 3. So from about 3, I've had her until she was about 6 or 7. So we literally battled together. I had my own place. She had her own room. I had my own job. I'm doing everything that I felt like I was supposed to do as a father. Had clothes, had all the little games, little dolls that she wanted. And so at some point in life, I came to the realization that I wanted to give her more. As a father, this isn't enough. I want her to have more. I want to have more. So, around that 6 or 7 mark, I left Enterprise and I went to a factory. And this factory was working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Working 7 days a week, I didn't have time for her. She had gotten sick, and I went, and I'll even tell you the number scale. I went from every 2 weeks making $368 every 2 weeks to $647 a week.
Almost double.
Oh, my triple. This is I'm
Oh, a
getting
week. Yeah.
360.
So you
Yeah. So
yeah, hell yeah.
I'm quadrupling. So every week I'm getting 647 versus every 2 weeks getting 368. I am happy. I mean, she has the newest shoes. She had a little, the little cart that you ride on. You know what I'm saying? Like all my
Mhm.
money was for a crib and for her to have a decent life. And I was happy with that. Well, she ends up getting sick. And I had just started at this factory, and my mom offered to take her to the doctor. My mom's a nurse. My mom's a nurse. So I said, okay, you know, my mom's a nurse. So yeah, I'd rather you take her because they're not going to BS me. They're going to tell you what's going on, and you're going to know what they're talking about, and you're going to know how to act accordingly.
Right.
With that being said, she said, Shelby, she has a lot more doctor's appointments. I don't mind to take her, but I need guardianship. I need temporary guardianship because they're not telling me anything. I'm a grandmother. They're not telling me anything. So I
Wow.
said, okay. And at that time, I'm 22. I'm 22. So I don't know. So it came down to I needed to take off work and take her so that they could tell me what was going on, or I need to give my mom temporary guardianship so that she could take her and they could tell her what's going on and she can act accordingly because she knows a little bit more about that than I do. Well, I agree to it. Her mom agrees to it. She says, "Well, you don't have to come to court." Well, I didn't. I mean, I'm agreeing to it. I mean, I don't. I wouldn't expect to have to go to court, but you telling me as my mom that I don't have to go to court. Okay. You know what I'm saying? This is my
Hmm.
rock. This is my day one. You know? I talked to my prosecutor. He tells me I don't have to come. So the court date happens, and then not even a week later, I'm paying child support. Well, why am I paying child support? My child still is with me. My mom is just taking
Hmm.
her to the doctor. Oh, well, you didn't show up to the court. You didn't show up to the court date. I was told I didn't have to. So I called the prosecutor and I'm asking him. He said, "Well, if you and your mom were on the same page, you didn't have to come to court. When you didn't come to court, some other things were said and she didn't have your side on. So now you're paying child support."
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah. So now I'm like, hey, I'm not paying child support. I still have my child. I'm not paying child support. So, and it wasn't that bad. It was like $60 a month. So it was like $15 out of my check. But it was $60 out of my check for a child that I still had. So, at this time, my mom, you know, says, "Hey, well, $60 isn't enough. I'm gonna have to raise that." So my mom raises it. She says that she didn't raise it. They just out of nowhere just said, "Hey, that's not enough for you," which I don't believe. No, and I've seen this with I have other kids, but with my other kids, if you want more money, you have to go down there and ask them to get
Yeah, you
more
got to
money.
file for it. That's right.
Yeah, you have to file for it. So to say that they did it without your knowledge is at that time was mind-boggling to me. So with that being said, she went back down there, and that's what I feel like happened, and asked for more money. So that $60 a month went to uh 450 a month, 400 a month. So now it went
That's
from
a huge jump.
$15 a paycheck because I'm getting paid every week. $15 a paycheck to $100 a paycheck. So now it's all right. I'm losing some money, and so now I have to start budgeting, and because I still want to get all these nice things for my child, and I
Hmm.
still got to make sure I live. I got to make sure we gonna eat because at this time I'm the only one doing it. I didn't have her mom on child support. I didn't have nobody. It was just me. So she gets sick. She had staff. She had staff when at that time in the year people were dying from staff.
Yeah, because it was brand new back then.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I told my mom that, hey, if she has staff, we need to make sure that there's eyes on her at all the time. I'm still working 7 days a week. So she went to my mom's house. Okay. So now it's all right. I gotta pay child support because now I don't have my child because she has staff. I need to make sure that she's okay. And who better to do it than my own mom?
Right.
Kind of put her in a spot where if I am gonna pay child support, she's doing the job. Does it make it right? Not saying it makes it right because at that time you got to understand that my heart was broke coming home to an empty house. My daughter's not there.
Hmm.
I can't plan activities like I used to. We was going to the pumpkin patch. We were going to Gaddy Town, and when
Nonstop.
Gaddy, yeah, oh yeah. So with that being said, man, you know, looking back, there was things that I definitely could have done different. But at the same time, when you are, and for all the fathers, you know what I'm saying? When you really feel like you trust someone, that doesn't mean fall off. And that's what I feel like was my biggest mistake was is I trusted someone and I fell back. You know what I mean? Uh don't fall back. Don't fall back. You definitely need to make sure that you are following up with these things because these do pertain to your children and these do pertain to you, and if you're not there, then nobody else is speaking up for what you are fighting for.
Right. Exactly.
So
Nobody's standing up for you. You got to keep standing up for yourself and for your kids.
most
Yeah.
definitely. So don't never fall back. Never fall back on your kids. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I did that for a long time. My child kind of got acclimated with my mom, you know. So then, she gets a little bit older. She's about 13 now. She's about 13 now. I finally am getting my stuff together where we're not working 7 days a week. I found a little girlfriend, and now I'm kind of working my way into, having something of my own, something where I can say my child can come back and stay with me, and I have enough time for her and to be a father.
Hmm.
You know, and as it being for me, as it being my mom, I would think that any mom that has taken on a responsibility that wasn't their own, would be happy. Be happy for you for hey, my son has gotten his crap together, and so on and so forth. And right now I don't feel that. I don't look for nobody to pat me on my back for me being on my stuff because that's what you're supposed to do as a man or as a father is make sure that your life is situated for your kids so that they can see what organization kind of looks like. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? What
Hmm.
what what when I become old enough, this is what it should look like. You know what I mean? So, so my daughter comes to me and, she's gotten in a lot of trouble. She's gotten into fights. She got caught smoking weed, at 13, sneaking out, and for me, I can't blame anybody, as a father.
Yeah.
I can't blame anybody because my mom's doing the best she can and I'm working and I'm not with her. I don't live with her. So I can't blame someone for my transgressions, for me not being there. So with me getting my stuff together, going to parent teacher conferences, going through therapy because like I said, I was going through a lot. I've came to realize that now it's time. It's time for me to actually take back the responsibility for having my kid and actually and doing right by her because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you should want to do.
Hmm.
Um, so she comes to me the actually this Christmas break and says, "Hey, I'm trying to move in. I have a room here. I have a bed here. I have a TV here. I'm not doing so well in the school that I'm in. It might be time for me to come here so that I can get a tutor. Somebody's always going to be home if I have any questions. My mom, she owns her own business. So she is, and owning your own business is not easy.
No.
You make your own hours. You have to stick to it. No question. So my child knows those hours and knows what she can and can't get away with. So, 8 to 6. All right, I get home at 2, 2:30, 3 o'clock. All right, I still got 3 hours to do whatever I want before she comes home. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
as a kid, I don't know. I know me as a kid. I don't, and I know you as a kid. That free time is priceless.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's it's priceless. I can do whatever I want and not get in trouble. Now, when my parents get home, I'm gonna hear about it. But for that 3 hours, I can
I'm
do what I
free.
want. Yes, yes. So she comes to me and says, Dad, I'm trying to move in. So I said, all right, have you talked to, my mom is called Nini. She doesn't like to be called grandma. Have you talked to Nini? And she says, yeah, I have talked to Nini. All right, well, I'm gonna call her. And my daughter didn't have no problems. Like normally, if a kid is about to get called out on their lie, oh no, you don't have to do that. She said, okay, call her. Okay, I'm gonna call her. So I call her. And I say, Mom, Drew says that she's ready to, come back with me, and I'm ecstatic. I'm happy because
Mhm.
that is my responsibility. I'm ready to take on that responsibility as a father. Um, and she says, "Oh no, she's not going anywhere." What, what do you mean? What do you mean she's not going anywhere? If she wants to come here, she has space here. I have space here. She can come here. She can start school. It's Christmas break. Uh, she after Christmas break, I can go get her enrolled. She'll start out the new semester with new classes, which she was going to do at the old school anyway, and she can and go from there. Um. Oh well, we'll have to talk about it. First thing, as my mom, you should be my number one advocate. You should be super ecstatic that I've even put myself in this position to be a better person for my kids. Not just one, but all my kids. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and to step on it like it's an inconvenience for you to give my child back it can be a slap in the face. So
I can only
with that being,
imagine,
y'all, most
especially
definitely,
because she's like your rock. You said it many times.
most definitely. How is my rock? You supposed to hold me down, but what you're doing is you're holding me down. You,
Right.
you
Yeah, I like that.
yes,
Yeah,
sir, yes,
right.
sir, yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
So you shouldn't, but you shouldn't. So for me, it was definitely a big disrespect because you should be just as happy for me as I am for me. And
Hmm.
what I'm feeling is that now you're like, oh no, he's getting his stuff together. Like you shouldn't. I shouldn't feel like you should be saying, oh no. I should be saying, my mom's proud of me because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Now I don't need pats on the back, but you're not there as my mother to make my life harder. You
Right.
know.
Well, and
So
harder on your daughter when she's ready to
oh,
come back to her dad.
ex- exactly, and then that
Well,
makes it like, and that makes it like, oh my Nini's gonna resent me because I don't want to live here anymore.
hmm.
So now you're putting my child in the between a rock and a hard place because now she wants to go with me, but she don't want you mad at her, and you're not making it an easy transfer. Okay, I think that's the word. You're not making it easy to transfer, and so now it's, well, Dad, we can. I don't know, and now it's up in the air because now you really don't want to hurt someone's feelings because you've been with that person. You don't want them to be mad at you.
Right.
So at this moment, man, but my child is doing a lot better in school. I've actually went to her school. The weird part is that schools don't let you sit down in class anymore. And I
No, they
mean,
don't.
I can see why. I can see why, but at the same time I can't. Because if I'm
And
telling you that my go ahead.
unfortunately, it seems like they have this other agenda going on that they don't want people to know about. And that's why you're not there. And it's hard to even get in to be able to sit down and go to lunch with your kid. You know what I mean? Or like when you go to your parent teacher conference, it's like, if you got any questions, well, that's be damned. It's like, this is it. And this is what we're doing. And it's like, that's it.
And then
Even,
when you ask a question, all they do is repeat what they've already said. Like, this
yeah,
is what I've trained to say. this is
That's
this is
exactly
it.
right. Yeah. Well, see, for me, my son has to have like an extra therapist and stuff like that and all that to help him because, ever since my ex and I have had separated and divorced, he's been having a lot of trouble and stuff and everything with that. So act out and all that, which is normal, unfortunately, for kids. And I will always say to the person that's doing that, that's supposed to be checking his behaviors, hey, like, what has actually happened and what did you do about it? And like, what can we do together? That way there's a transition between home and school so we can have the most productive thing. And they don't have anything to say. And it's like, that's your job. Like, why are
Right.
you like, you don't know these things or you're just not telling me these things? Like, this is a problem. And it's like, for us as men, it seems like it's so inherent that the mom is the caretaker, the mom is there. So when the man steps in, it's only because things have gotten out of hand. So we have to step in and puff out our chests and all that shit. And so as a single dad, we're just trying to be there for them and try to do the right thing. We're not there aggressively, but because of all of this view of the difference between the two, well, no matter what we do, it's like seems aggressive. So they just shut
Most
down
definitely.
and have nothing to say to us.
Most
And that's
definitely.
another thing that needs to be fixed. That's part of the equal shared parenting. It's not just in the courts and all that stuff. It's not just in daycares and all that. I mean, it's everyday things.
The one thing that I was told growing up is that, fathers get I'm gonna say demonized. I don't know the actual word for it. But we get demonized. And what that means is that we're the person that disciplines.
Right.
So if you're in a single father house and you're separated and hey, you're being bad, don't make me call your dad. Like
Yeah.
that is the demonizing trait, because oh snap, he's the one I need to be scared of. My mom is just gonna call my dad. Now when I'm with my
Hmm.
dad, that's when it becomes a problem. I don't think that it should ever get to that point. If you feel like your child needs to be disciplined, if that's a timeout, a spanking, whatever you feel like is fit, both parents need to do it,
That's
because
exactly right.
because dad's gonna spank me, mom's gonna sit me in the corner. Oh, dad, I
Well,
don't want to come over here anymore because you're mean and
yep.
you're not, and you're doing this and mom's doing that. I like my mom more because I don't get disciplined the same way, or I don't get disciplined at all.
Well, let me tell you one of the main reasons for that actually is that, and the statistics show this, the difference between a single mother home and a single father home is that fathers have the ability to be a masculine role and a feminine role. That we will say for our daughters, we'll do their hair and do their nails and do all these great things and be empathetic and want to be there for their emotions and all that stuff. When women will only be feminine and they feel like they need to bring someone else into the picture that's a man to be able to take that role. That's why they always say, okay, well, we're going to get your dad. We're going to do this instead of taking on that masculine role also, which is one of the reasons why there's so many more men that commit suicide and go to prison and all this stuff or anything because there is not that masculine role that's showing them, like you said in the beginning, what's right and what's wrong.
Well, that's wrong, most definitely.
It's only put off onto the other person or onto even another man, and then, another scary statistic is that most abuse of children comes from the new man that comes into the life, not the father. It's the stepfather that not just emotionally and mental abuse, but sexual abuse. That's all mostly from step parents.
Right.
So they're
Well,
relying on this man to come in, and then they're just like, oh, they're just gonna do whatever. You know, it's
that's crazy,
ridiculous.
man.
It
Yeah,
is.
man. That's heartbreaking, because a lot of people can't work it out. It ain't like it used to be. It's not. It's super hard to try to work, and it's super hard to co-parent. And the funny part is it's not hard. It's
It's not
super
hard at
hard.
all.
It's super hard to co-parent, but it's not hard. It just takes two people that are understanding. Hey, this didn't work. We still have a child.
Yeah.
You have your time, I have my time, and we're both gonna do our part.
Hmm.
That's how easy it is. But now you have, well, there's not enough accountability for,
That's right.
hey, I know what I did wrong in that relationship, and I'm gonna, make sure that in my next relationship I don't do that, or I'm gonna try to work on myself. It's
Hmm.
no, you did all that wrong, and then comes to it that now I'm the bad guy. I,
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
didn't do anything.
It's like so many men are great fathers until they're no longer with the mom. And then that next second, that's a piece of shit
Yeah, yeah,
immediately, and we need to remove our emotions from it. And that's both sides. A
most definitely.
lot more women, and people are going to get upset with me about it, but we all know that, women are emotional creatures.
Emotional creatures.
It's
Yes, sir.
hard for them to be able to control it more than men. I think that's partially because men are so taught to suck it up and just keep moving.
Keep
Nobody
moving.
cares about your feelings. You just got to do what you got to do every day. You got to get up and move on. We don't have the support, even from our brothers, even from our friends. It's really hard to reach out, even for me with this podcast, it's really hard to get guys to actually speak about those things and be open
Most
about it and
definitely.
stuff, because they're viewed as what they call the man box, and we are it put into this box of, to be masculine, to be strong, you can't cry, you can't have emotions, you can't speak to other people about it and stuff like that and everything. So they're afraid that everybody's going to judge them, and unfortunately people are,
Yeah,
but when it comes down to our children, fuck that, we step up. That's what we're
most
supposed
definitely.
to do.
That's
You
what
know
we're
what I
supposed
mean?
to do.
And
Exactly.
it's like the big message that we're saying is like, it's not just women, it is men. It's both of us. We
Both
both
of
need to
us.
step up and be parents before anything.
Most definitely. I agree. I agree with that. Ooh,
Yeah.
it's getting deep in here, ain't it?
Yeah, man. That's how it goes, man. And and that's the reason why we're doing this, is because people need to see that there's other people out here that support that. And it's okay, because we got to let this shit out,
Most
and whether
definitely.
that's with a therapist or your friend or your parent or whatever, man. That's the biggest thing about these stories that I want people to realize on the podcast and to come on, is that letting this stuff out is going to make you feel crazy at a moment and sad, but in the end, you'll feel better
Most
letting people
definitely.
know your story and letting people be there for you and support you.
Most I feel like with the vent, with me telling my story, I'm hoping that whoever is listening to this, whoever is watching this, that you can feel the roller coaster that, of, you know, boom, somebody's helping me out. Boom, they took advantage. Boom, they take the role. Me work on myself. Roller coaster. Then boom, my child wants to come back. Boom. Now it's a whole roadblock because I mean, and the funny part is that I can't explain why. It'd
Yeah.
be different if I told y'all that I was, I'm still selling drugs like I used to back in the old day, or I'm drinking, or I mean, when I tell you that I've turned my life to no drinking, no drugs, I mean, I've worked my classes. I had a DUI. I got it expunged. You know what I mean? To where now I have a job, I have a place, I have caring people, I have a support system. Like I go to therapy, just things of that nature. You know what I mean? To be
Yeah.
able to say that and still try to figure out why now isn't the time.
But it's like you've proven yourself over and over and over and over. And now you're at a point where you go, well, where do I go from here?
What
Because
else is next?
I've done everything that I'm supposed to do and more and beyond, and like you said, we don't need pats on the back. We need our children. That's what this is for.
This is
Who
what it's
knows where
for.
we would be if we didn't have kids? Same for
Oh,
me, bro.
guaranteed,
I'd be
guaranteed.
probably president, dead. Who knows? You know what I mean? But these we've changed our lives, and nobody is taking a cord of that. It's inherent for the woman to have these things, and it'd be okay. But for a man, doesn't matter how many times we prove ourselves, it feels like we're just lost.
Still swimming in the ocean.
That's right. That's right. And we're trying to make that a pool instead of an ocean. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
most
Through
definitely.
litigation change.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. So that's so with that being said, that's the battle that I'm fighting at the moment with trying to figure out what's next for me. Obviously it's not like you just fall off the wagon and try to give up. It's, do I need to go to court and actually fight for my child? Or is it she's gonna cooperate? And I will tell any man, I've been to court multiple times, and you know what? Those looks that I get, the looks that I get in the courtroom as a father fighting for his kid are priceless. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And even it's not even if it is a bad thing, good thing. People see you and say, I wish I had a father. I wish I had a baby daddy. I wish I had a father. I wish I had a guy that would fight for his kids
Mm-hmm.
as this guy's in this courtroom doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like those looks are priceless because people that don't have what we're offering, what we're doing, really appreciate that we're doing it.
Yeah. But the people that are there that should be appreciating it, nothing.
They don't. They don't. They
Crickets.
actually make it harder. Yeah, they actually make
Yeah.
it a little bit harder. I
Yeah.
can't believe that you're trying to do this.
Yeah.
So
You're proving me wrong. What? Yeah.
most
Well,
definitely.
so what is where's your daughter's mom right now? What has she got to say about all this? Is she in the wind or is she or in,
We will.
participating or
She and my daughter have a great relationship, but my daughter knows how her mom is. The reason why I broke up with her mom, the thing is that people don't, like I said at the beginning, people don't take accountability for the things that they do and keep doing. And that's the problem with men. That's the problem with women. That's the problem with just us in general, human beings in general. I knew that I had a drinking problem. I stopped drinking, went to my classes. That's taking accountability. With her mom, she's a habitual liar. She likes to lie a lot, and she likes a lot of men. So, with that being said, my child is the first child. If so I didn't know this at the time when I started dating her. But my child doesn't feel comfortable there. My every time you look up, and she'll tell you, every time I look up, it's a new guy there. I don't want my child to think that that's okay. You know
now
what
is
I
that
mean?
one of the reasons more and more where you won't bring women around, even if they're just friends and stuff like that?
No,
It's the same. It's the same for me, bro. I don't know what my ex is doing, and I'm not going to speak on it because it's not really a lot of my business unless my kids are being
I'm
harmed. You
involved.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
most definitely.
But but for me, I've had in the almost 4 years now, I brought one woman around them for 4 hours on a 4th of July, and my parents were there, and that's it. And otherwise, you know, it's family, and that's it. My mom and my dad, my nephews, and that's all. So my parents know that my home is their security. They can come here, they can be themselves, they can be wild and rambunctious and all that stuff, and they fall within their lines of what they're supposed to do, and that's great. But like they know that they don't have to worry about somebody sneaking in the middle of the night,
Most
or
definitely.
there's a new dude this week or that, or a woman this week or that week, or even
Most
my
definitely.
friends, bro. My best friend LJ, I don't, you might know him, I don't know, Lawrence Warfield, but he's not met my kids, and it's not anything against him, but my kids know that they can come here and they don't have to worry about a thing. Daddy's taking care of us. Daddy's got all the food we need. He's got all the entertainment we need. He knows that, if my kids get in trouble, sometimes they go to timeout, but a lot of times we just talk about it, and it shows them resilience and emotional intelligence. My son will stop before he gets mad and say, Dad, I'm getting angry. I need some time to myself. And he'll go in his room and close the door for 5 minutes, and then we'll talk and everything smooths out. Or he'll go out and punch on my punching bag. You know what I mean? And these are things that I've worked hard on to make sure that my
Oh,
kids
most
have
definitely.
the ability to express themselves. And I think that a lot of adults never got that and still don't. And that's one of the reasons why they can't take accountability is because their parents didn't teach them accountability.
Teach them communication.
Right. Like sometimes I yell at my kids, but an hour or two later, I'll come and say, I shouldn't have yelled. I apologize. Daddy's going to try and work better. Let me, please give me the room to try and do better. And they see,
Right.
okay, well, daddy, my grown dad is taking responsibility for his actions. It's okay
Exactly.
for me.
Exactly. That's what I think. I really feel like people nowadays don't want to instill that communication. I've met a lot of people that rather fight than talk.
Oh, yeah. Or just never talk
So,
to you again.
oh, never talk to you again, fight, talk behind your back, or
Oh, yeah.
and the thing is that for real, in a lot of instances, if you was to have a conversation with me, you would understand my view. Didn't say that you have to like it, but you would understand. So, hey, and this is one of my sayings. This is funny. I had an aunt, and she had roaches. Okay. I mean, it happens. I mean, ain't
It
nothing. I
happens.
mean, it happens. My brother went over there and spent the night and said, "Hey, mom, I don't want to go back over there. She got roaches." Okay, cool. We understand. My aunt got mad because he was telling people that he didn't want to come back to her house because she had roaches. So when the thing is that do you not have roaches?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do you think like are you saying that you don't have roaches and he's making a lie, or are we saying that we've all been to your house and we know you have roaches and you're mad because somebody's telling that you have roaches?
Yeah. It makes you look bad. Why aren't you fixing that?
Exactly. Accountability and communication. If you would have took accountability that you have roaches and the communication that you shouldn't be mad that somebody's talking about you having roaches because you haven't taken the accountability to fix that you have roaches.
Yeah. Well, let's go
You see what
even
I'm
deeper
saying?
than that. In the dating world these days, when you're direct with a girl, they find that to be aggressive. When you tell them, hey, you feel even in a nice, polite manner, it's like, I'm not big on girls that have a lot of guy friends. I've had a lot of experiences with that being bad. And, most men and most women know that there's some weird shit going on there most of the time
Most definitely.
because
Most definitely.
women are supposed to be friends with women and men are supposed to be friends with men, and we've done that for millions of years and all this stuff and everything, and that's what's normal. But like, I'll say, a girl will say, oh, I got these guy friends, and I'll say, well, that's not really something that I'm into, and I wish you the best, but I'm not asking you to change. You be
No.
you, and I'll go be me, and that's okay. And then they'll get mad, go online and say things about me. Well, he said that because I didn't have guy friends, he must be a piece of shit and all this stuff and everything. It's like, what?
No. You know what that's called? That's called standards. And a lot of people don't have them no more. And if I have standards, if I'm asking that, and the thing is with standards, I'm reciprocating those standards as well. You see what
Right.
I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
yes, if I'm telling you that I don't really like that you have guy friends, you're not gonna see me with any girlfriends. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like so
Exactly. Which
so
is
that is
less
a
worries.
which is a standard. You cannot be mad at any man, any father. You should not don't change yourself. If you have standards, do not change your standards unless they're just ridiculously out of reach. And you're
Mm-hmm.
not reciprocating. Don't say, "Hey, I want a girl with a car," because that's a standard and you don't have a car. You see what I'm saying? Or,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I want a girl with a 401k and she making 3,000, 3,000 a week." If you're not making 3,000 a week, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or even that something that's totally even crazier is like, you go into a relationship and that person's an alcoholic, and then in 5 years you go, well, I don't want to be with an alcoholic. I don't. You're an alcoholic. It's like, wait a minute, you went into this knowing. Or say, like, a cop, right? They're with a cop. That cop becomes a detective. They know that person's got to work crazy hours, and then they go, well, you're not giving me enough attention. I'm not going to be with you anymore. So I'm going to cheat on you or whatever all this stuff is, even though going into it who this person is and what that relationship is.
Like I agree. Um, but what that is standards. If you if you didn't want a guy that works a lot, You should have never. As soon as you found out that I was a cop, or if you found out that I work at a factory and I'm working 7 days a week, this relationship ain't for you. If you see that
That's
I'm
it.
having, if you meet me at the bar and I'm drunk off my butt, but you think I'm cute, and then you like, oh, I'm gonna mess with him, and then I keep going to bars every weekend. That standard, you knew that this was me.
Right. So whose responsibility is that really? The
That
person
is
with the
the
standard.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
exactly right.
So for a woman to feel any type of way because a guy has a standard is beyond me, because I'm not being mean. I'm not saying, God, you're, a chick that has too many guys, God, you're sleeping with all those guys. I didn't say that. I just said, hey, that's not for me. And that's what communication comes in. I'm taking accountability and my standard of saying, hey, that's not for me. I hope you have a great life. I'll see you around.
Right. Well, and then let's bring it back to, with our kids. If we show our kids that we're a certain person and then we change that depending on what's happening or the environment and stuff like that, well, it shows that kid that they don't have to take accountability for who they are and what they want
Exactly.
and what they believe, that they can just let someone railroad them. And
Exactly.
we're creating a generation of people that just lay down and let people do whatever they want. And it's like, for me, I take my kids to church every Sunday. Not every single Sunday. Sometimes it's raining, they don't want to go or something like that.
Right,
And that's
right.
fine. But what I'm doing is not necessarily instilling them and telling them you have to be religious. I'm instilling them with a sense of morality. We don't treat people this way. We love people and we give and we share and we help where we can. And, we try to follow those guidelines of Christianity or whatever people's religion is, and that's not me telling them in 40 years, you better be a Christian.
Right.
It's just saying, like, we're just trying to be better people. And that's all it is.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean?
When it comes down to, like I said, me having a life, me having a house, me having a car, that is a standard that I want my kids to see. Standards ain't just
Exactly.
for, like you said, just for relationships. It's for your kids as well. So me having a standard of making sure that I have money, making sure that I can do nice things for that is showing your kids that there is a standard of life and how and a living that,
Hmm.
hey, these things a parent provides. You know what I'm saying? A
That's it.
parent this is the things that parents provide to make sure that we have fun when they're with us, and even discipline. There's a standard. Hey, we don't cuss. We don't cuss. That's a
Hmm.
standard. So, I mean, when you say you should always live your life by a certain standard in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, exactly right. And it goes back to, again, accountability too for your children. And it's like, look, this is the way we live, and the only person that can provide that is us. And when you become an adult, if that's the way you want to live, the only person that can provide that for you is
Yeah,
you,
it's you. It's
not
you.
someone else. You know what I mean? And I think it goes into relationships like that too. When they get older, it's like, to the you don't live your life depending on someone else.
Someone else. And I think
I've
that's my
got me
biggest.
right. You know what I
That
mean?
is that is me. I think that's one of my biggest for having girls. For having girls, that's my biggest. Like that scares me. Is to feel like my child is going to depend on someone other than themselves. Like I feel like as a father, that's something that I'm very scared of. Is for my daughter to be like, "Oh, he didn't get me this." You're independent, and you shouldn't expect nobody to get you anything. You have a level of respect, and you have a standard. Now, with that standard, that doesn't mean that he's supposed to do anything. You can get whatever you want for yourself,
Yeah. Well, and
you
that
know?
builds positive relationships if you have that on both sides, because you don't have to have that other person. You want to
That
have
other
that other
person.
person.
Most
You
definitely.
want to be in a relationship with that person. You want to work on those things. Not that you have to, because if you don't, you're going to be on the streets. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
So you've got other children other than your daughter that we've spoken about.
Yes, sir. I have four kids. I have my daughter is 15. I have an 8-year old, and then I have two boys. He's 5, and then I have a 1-year old.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's quite a big
Yes.
difference in ages there.
Yes. And the thing is, it's all different walks of life. And I can honestly see that in each one of my kids, the walk of life that I was in, and how I was fluctuating, how I was going from drinking and partying and to kind of, stop partying but still drinking, to not drinking, better path. And actually, if the funny part is, if you reflect on the women that you were with versus if you're in a relationship now or not, and what kind of state you're in now, you can see for me, I can see the growth. um yes, I still have to deal with a lot of nonsense with that. That's 4 baby mamas with 4 kids, and that's a lot
Oh
of
wow.
baby mama drama. Yeah.
Yeah,
um
for sure.
but all of them can tell you, and that's the thing that I think I pride myself on the most, is that all of them will tell you, if I ask Shelby, he's gonna make a way.
Wow. So they're all supportive now.
Supportive, supportive in the way of, they know that me being a father will never, never have anything to do with how I feel about the mother.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
regardless, if we're arguing, it don't matter if we're not on the same page. It don't, anything of that nature. If they say, "Hey, your child needs shoes," or "Hey, I need you to come pick your child up." I mean, it don't have to be a material thing. "Hey, I need you to come spend time with them. They had a hard day. Um, can you?" And if and honestly, I've called off work because, what's more important than making sure that your kids know that you're there for them. I had a guy that his kids wouldn't even talk to him. His kids wouldn't even talk to him. He was around. He came and picked them up, but they wouldn't talk to him. And for me, that would break my heart, to not be able
Absolutely.
to not have a conversation. And even if it's just a silly one, like my 5-year-old, he talks about Mickey Mouse and will sit right beside me and have a whole conversation about Mickey Mouse. And to imagine not having that conversation because they don't want to talk to me, I don't know what I do.
I think I know what you do. You'd figure out
I'll
what was going on and you'd fix it.
guarantee. I mean, definitely on that note. But then, like you said, I mean, I feel like this episode should be called Standard Accountability, and because it just all falls under those 3 categories.
Yeah.
It all
So
falls
like,
under those 3.
I'm also a big believer in that everything can be fixable. It might take time, it might take pain, but it all can eventually be fixed. There's certain things, that are way out there. We're talking about extreme violence and stuff like that, and everything. Then, yeah, that you can never fix that.
Right.
But, when there's a breakdown in communication, when parents are mad at each other, when, you're not that great at playing baseball, whatever it is, things can be fixed. It just takes time and patience and stuff like that. And people aren't willing to even step up to go through that bit. Like they don't want to face it again. Accountability, right?
There we go.
I'm writing down.
Definitely.
It's going to be called standards and accountability. Watch.
um, the that's the and I agree. Things can be fixed, but it has to be fixed on both sides. And
That's
I
it.
think for a single father, that's a lot harder to do. Even
It
if you
is.
tried to sit down and have a conversation with, say, your ex, or say, yeah, like an ex or a baby mama, they don't want to talk. They
Hmm.
rather point that finger at you and say, "Hey, you're wrong, I'm right." That's the end of it. And there's nothing that you can tell me to make me believe that I am wrong. I had I was so my son, the 5-year-old, I was with his mom. I had gotten pulled over for my DUI, and I had to go to jail for 10 days. My second, because like I said, I have the 16-year-old, I have the 8-year-old. That's another girl. The 5-year-old is a boy, and the 1-year-old is a boy. My 8-year old's mom came and bailed me out of jail. Came and bailed me out of jail. And then
Wow.
when I got home, when I when I got home, she said, "What are you doing here?" What are you doing here? How did you get out of jail? I said, well, my second, baby mom bailed me out. Where were you at? And the thing is that there was no money to put up. So it wasn't like, oh, she had money and she didn't. It was literally third party sign out. That was it.
Oh, so she
So
could have gone up there and signed.
she could have came up there and signed. So for me, the question was why didn't you come up there and sign and at least make sure that I was good?
Yeah.
The second mom, came, didn't have no obligation. I haven't even you know what I'm saying? We talk about kids. I didn't even tell her I was in jail. How did she even know I was in jail? To bail me out, to get me to my house. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that really are mind boggling to me, because how are you going to have an attitude because someone else bailed me out, but you weren't even there to do what that person had done? It'd be different if both y'all are at the courthouse and she beat you to the punch. Yeah, I mean, you could be a little bit mad about that.
Yeah.
You're not even happy I'm out. Accountability.
Well, and she could have not been mad at you and say, well, you're right, but I do appreciate that she did that.
Got you out, because you could have lost your job. You know what I'm saying? There's some things that came with me sitting in there all that time.
Hell yeah.
So for you
Absolutely.
to so when we're talking about, fixing things, obviously we have to talk about a level-headed person. A
Yeah.
level-headed person that wants to work it out, and just for the kids. You know what I'm saying? Just for the kids to work it out to where y'all can have a level of understanding for your kid. Now for my 5-year-old, I want him to go to therapy. I want him to play soccer. I have 50-50 time share with him, which took a long time in court, but I don't regret none of it. Um, and that's hard for me because the mom doesn't want to take him to therapy on her days, so then he misses therapy, which this is for your kid,
Well,
not for me.
there's a law that you can take her to court over that. It's negligence.
Oh, well then, see, learning something new every day. But
Yep.
with that being said, soccer, sign him up for soccer, don't take him on her days. So, and then the worst part about it is that I didn't sign up for that. What do you mean? This is for your child. Well,
Mm-hmm.
who told you to sign him up for that? He needs to be active. He's a boy. He needs to be active. He wants,
Yeah.
try to get him. He's just gonna be chunky. Oh no, we gonna get him. We gonna get him where he needs to be at.
Well, and those
I
things
didn't.
help encourage um their personalities and help them understand what they can do, especially for boys.
Competitiveness.
You've got to let them go out there and make mistakes and be crazy and wild and get hurt and all that stuff and everything, because that helps them see how far they can push themselves.
Most definitely. So with that being said, man, I really agree with. I agree with fixing if if you can find someone that is willing to do that with you. You can always fix yourself. You can always figure out what you can do better. But there's always going to be that wall if you have a person that really is holding a grudge for whatever, say, that reason may be.
It makes it hard to even go into a new relationship, doesn't it?
Oh
Because
my
the
gosh.
more and more you realize those things, the
Trauma.
more you, well, and it's
Trauma.
like I see one red flag. I'll be trying to talk to somebody, one red flag, gone. Because I don't want to deal with any of that anymore. I've been through too much of it. And it's like, I'm not going to allow you to affect the way I have to deal with the rest of my life over
And like
something that's silly.
and that red flag is what really a lot of guys need to start looking for. A lot of people, and I think that this is it's proven somewhere that people that are interested in someone look past their red flags because they like that person, or that they want to be seen with that person, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And then as that wears off, as that what the honeymoon stage, I think they call it the honeymoon
Yeah.
stage, when that wears off, now you're seeing all the stuff that you were being so blinded to, and now it's a
Mm-hmm.
problem. Then you go back to, hey, I haven't changed. I'm still the same person. You're just paying more attention to the things that I've already been doing. If these were problems for you, you wait a couple months, a couple weeks, a couple years. and
Mm-hmm.
say, hey, I don't like that. I haven't done anything different. This is me.
Yeah. They didn't set
Standards,
those standards in the beginning.
those standards in the beginning, they'll always get you. That's why women are really surprised that guys are coming with standards.
Yeah. We've changed. We have
Yeah,
changed. I know a
yes, sir.
lot of men that would rather be single and alone and be in their own peace than even have a woman at all in their life.
Well, the
It's
women
like
now, women nowadays, man, aren't the same.
they're not.
They're not the
That's
same, and we're not going to get into that. But just know that when you're looking for a woman, you definitely don't pick them. You don't find them at the bar. You don't find them. You
That's
don't
right.
find them in any type of intoxicating place. I see more relationships work out from the workplace and casual meetups versus, and even online dating at some
Mm-hmm.
point. Not all of them. Don't quote me, but
Some of them are on there
I
for a reason.
yes, yes, oh yeah, guaranteed. But I have seen a lot of successful relationships from online. So, don't be out here thinking that, people are really just out at the bar looking for a relationship, because I'm telling you right now, they're not.
Yeah. Well, and some of them are, and those people are not the people you want to be with either because they're looking
Exactly.
for relationships in a bar.
Yeah.
What are their
Yeah.
standards? You know what I mean?
Exactly. And
Like
that's when
I don't even like being in bars, bro. I work
me
them,
and you both. Me, me and you
I
both.
work them all day long. I was
Man.
working covering a celebrity from you ever heard of that show Vanderpump Rules?
Okay.
So I was one of the celebrities from there was in town, and I was working bodyguarding for him recently in a bar downtown. And I just don't like drunk people. I don't like being drunk. I don't like being around drunk people at all. And for me, you've watched me work security. I'm always on all the time. I don't fuck about. I don't go chit chat. I don't chit chat with the other guys that are security. We might say a thing or two, but I'm on point all the time. That's my job. And this guy's worth $100 million or whatever. It's like, that's my whole thing. A girl literally walked up to me and says, I like tall guys. Didn't even look at her. Said, I don't give a fuck. Like, she just turned around and walked off. And our boss, he walks over to me. He goes, I saw what you just did. He said, you didn't even look at that girl. You looked through that girl. And it's like, that's right. Not only am I doing my job, but I don't want to be involved with a girl that's looking for dudes at the bar.
It's definitely a red flag for me, my guy. Guys, where I work at a bar every weekend. And like you said, I'm spot on. I come do my job, do what I need to do, and go on home. So guys, they want to sit back and have a drink, and I'm going home. I didn't even want to be here. I'm only here for two things: the money and the money.
That's it. The money. Exactly. Well, and the money because I can support my kids.
Oh, guaranteed.
I'm here to pay. I'm
That's the
here to
only
be able to
reason
pay to give my kids the life that I want to give them.
that I want to give them. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mhm.
So I agree.
Do you want to talk about, anything that you've had hardships in court and stuff with the other kids and stuff? Because we haven't really talked about a lot of court stuff.
Right. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. The faces, the reactions that you get when you go to court to fight for your kid, like I said, are priceless. And I wouldn't, and I would go back to court just to see those faces again. That's how priceless it is to see that there's a man out here actually fighting. And my mom used to say, men don't fight. They don't fight for their kids. They don't want to go in the courtroom because they already know that the courtroom is biased, or the courtroom doesn't really, they want them to be with their mom, and they don't want them to be with their. And I said, well, look, if I'm going to court and I'm showing him that I have everything that my child needs, then what judge is going to say you're not offering what the mom is offering? You see what I'm
You'd be
saying? Like,
surprised. You'd be
oh, I
surprised
believe
though.
it. I believe
Yeah.
it. But with that, and I have a friend, he has very bad anger issues. And with that, growing up with anger issues, it took a toll on his overall life. because, with anger issues, you have a lot of assault charges, you have a lot of, a lot of stuff. And, he fought for his kids. I mean, I helped him all the way. I mean, and if anybody needs help, contact Aaron, we will. I'm pro father. I'm not afraid to help you find somebody. I'm here for a support system to even get you through whatever you need to get through, because I have friends, I have a support system, and I really feel like guys should have a support system
Well, that's
because
one of the big things we got going on here, and it's like you probably not had a chance to listen to my podcast yet. But one of the things that I'm doing is called the Basic 50, and it's the basic laws for all parents in each of the 50 states. Just having that basic knowledge and stuff and everything is enormous. You know what I mean? And, that's another big thing I want guys to realize when they come here is that you don't have to be on this podcast. You can come and just talk to me. I'm not going to stop. I'm not here just for my kids. I'm here for everybody's kids. I'm here for
most
your
definitely.
kids, every single person. You know what I mean? And we're also started a fund called Daddies Need Lawyers. So in the parental and the whole, I guess, let's call family law court in the entire United States, there is no defendant's lawyer for free, like in criminal court. There is none. And a lot of guys don't have the money because the shit's crazy expensive.
It's expensive. It's
I mean,
expensive.
I've spent almost $15,000 on my lawyer in the last 3 years. You know what I mean? So we've started a fund so everybody knows if they want to come and donate, called Daddies Need Lawyers, where people can reach out and we can help them retain a lawyer. And we vet the person, we vet the lawyer, and we give the money directly to the lawyer. But
Yeah.
we're trying to set up support in all different areas, and I think that's a great thing, like you said, to spread that around and let everybody know. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. So with that, most definitely that's a very big change for men, because I will tell you that not having the money to get a lawyer and going in there by yourself is not the same. It's not
No,
the same.
no, they don't treat you the same at all.
No, they do not.
I've literally talked to men that have studied time, taken their time to study the law and gone in and represent themselves and can do it accurately. And the judge said, no, even though it's constitutional law that you can do
Yeah.
that, they say that's not going to help you here. You need to find a lawyer.
So and that was the big thing for me. Like you said 15 and 3. I think I paid about, and all together, for at least two of my kids getting 50-50. For two of my kids, I paid almost 25.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yes.
Crazy.
So I
And if you
understand.
didn't, you wouldn't have had them.
Oh my gosh. But that's that grind, that's that accountability, that hey, this is what I want. This is for my kids. I want to be able to see them grow. I don't want to be a stranger. I don't want them to be old enough and then resent me because I have that resentment. So I don't want my kids to have the same resentment. But with the court system, most definitely, I can't say that I've had hardships because I've always had a lawyer. I think if I do have hardships, it's paying the lawyer. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Right.
And so that's why I said that's
Right.
a big thing, because yes, the lawyer is going to do their job and they're going to speak on your behalf because you are paying them. But to come up with that money for them to do their job
Well, and not
is
just that, while you're paying your own bills, you're supporting your kids, in another household that you don't even get to see the kids because you're paying child support and you ain't even seeing
exactly
them right now. The money
exactly
is just crazy. And in Kentucky and a lot of the surrounding states, if you get behind on your child support, they'll take your license from you. Then you can't work. You'll get even more behind your child support. They'll put you in jail. They'll charge you with felonies that make you from keeping from seeing your kids forever.
Yep.
And sometimes you'll stay in court. I mean, you'll stay in jail until you pay off that amount with what you've worked in jail. which is what, 68 cents a day that you make, something like that, something ridiculous. And then when you get out, all that time that is accrued, you owe that child support. It's just
Yep.
made over and over again, and if a woman goes and does those things and says, well, I'm not going to pay child support, there's actually systems in place that will help them provide that child support, that will
Yep.
help them pay those things, that keep them from going to
Going
prison.
to jail. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's actually no father's rights in the state of Kentucky. There is mother's rights, but there is no father's rights at all.
It's funny
Zero.
you said that. I tried to get my passport. Can't get my passport because I have a rearage, and it's
Hmm.
over $0. So if I am over $1 on my rearage, I can't get a passport. Now, granted, that's
Hmm.
easy to pay. That's not the problem. That's easy to pay. But for me, it was COVID. For me, it was COVID. When COVID hit, I had gotten laid off my job. I had gotten my unemployment. They were still taking my stimulus checks for child support, and
Hmm.
I still ended up like $2,000 behind. And I was only off of work for 3 months, and I know they took a $1,500 stimulus check. So, and to still be $2,000 behind with no job and like you said, trying to make sure I got my bills paid and taking care of these kids and I didn't have no money left to pay child support.
Hmm.
You know, I mean,
They
at
would
one point
rather
I was,
you they would rather you work three jobs and have no relationship with your child at all.
oh my gosh. And then the
Yeah.
funny part is that they'll take the money out of your bank account. If you have a savings account,
Hmm.
they'll take the money out of your savings account. I
That's
had
exactly right.
I had about I think I had like $300 in there, just trying to save up.
Hmm.
Oh, we're comprehending that $300 for child support. What do you? I'm paying my child support. No, but you have rearages, and this is going to go towards your rearage. Oh, okay. And I feel
Hmm.
like, hey, you're not allowed to save. You have kids, but I'm paying my child support. You can't save anything until your kids are taken. What? All right, I can get behind that if I wasn't doing anything. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. But you're doing your best.
Oh my gosh. And they don't see that. They think that you're just a deadbeat guy, not trying to do anything. And then
Hmm.
even though you're paying your child support on time, you should be doing a lot more.
Let me tell you a statistic about child support that's going to make sense for you on this, okay? Some
All
states are
right.
a little different and stuff like that, but in the state of Kentucky, when judges accrue child support, the more money that they bring in through child support, the bigger bonus they get at the end of the year. So they will make you pay as much as you possibly can. It doesn't matter to drive you into the ground, any opportunity they possibly can. They get a bonus at the end of the year for collecting child support. And there's other states like the state of Arizona, right? In the state of Arizona, they get 10% of whatever you pay in child support. The state does. So before you have to pay the state, then the state pays the mother the child support, and they take 10% of it out. And that's to
Mhm.
support the legal system that's beating you into the ground. Isn't that crazy?
I-
I mean, it's
No,
actually they're incentivized to destroy you.
right.
Crazy. And
That's
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 true. That's
crazy.
true. True
Yeah, I
statistics.
believe it.
Now, I want to say, and I've said this on a couple episodes now because it's super important, I believe, that this is from the Census, Bureau of the United States. 40% of kids that go through the DNA court system find out that their father that's being pressed is not their father. 40% of
That's a
women,
that's a
dude, that's huge.
that's a lot.
Absolutely enormous, dude.
That's a
Yeah.
lot.
That's why I tell people, you got to go to DNA. You've got to do it because the birth certificate doesn't do anything for you. And if they are your kids, you got to have that to be able to show, hey, these are my fucking kids, and I'm going to do
Most definitely.
everything for them.
Yes.
Because it's even crazier is that you can go and you could say you signed the birth certificate, right? Because you thought the kids were yours and all that stuff and everything. You can find out that the kids are not yours, and the state can still say, well, because you were their father for 5 years, you're going to pay child support even though you'll never see them again because they're not your kids. you're going to pay because you're the father is represented on the birth certificate until the true father is found. And these mothers don't want to admit that, so they don't go to find who the real dad is because they were sleeping with all these different guys or whatever it is. They don't want to feel the shame and embarrassment or whatever it is, not taking accountability for what they've done. And they will still make you pay a child support. You will still go to jail over kids that aren't even yours. And it's been proven through DNA they're not even yours.
That's wild.
Yeah, bro.
That's,
There's a
that's
lot.
that.
There's a lot to fix.
Mm-hmm.
There is. So tell me a little bit about what it took to get 50-50 custody of your I said you think it was your third child?
Yes, sir. My son, his name is Adric. So I was already doing weekends. I was doing every other weekend, and I was doing every Tuesday and Thursday already.
That was
So
like
the fun
agreed upon between you all before you ever went to court.
until she got mad and then wouldn't, and then so it took her keeping my son away from me for 3 months that I finally had enough money because it took 3 months for me to gather the money to get a lawyer to start petitioning and start so I could get my 50-50. When I finally got into court and I said, I haven't seen my son in 3 months. Well, then I had to do a paternity. So I did my paternity and I did everything that I needed to do on that. Once I did my paternity, they started a plan. And that plan was only every other weekend, no Tuesday and Thursday. But that's not what I asked for because I was already getting Tuesday and Thursday. So I had to go through a specific processing plan. And he would spend the night with me on Thursdays. So Thursday would be like if you're going home, you'll go home on Friday, or you stay in Thursday and I'll take you home on Sunday. Well, by this time they bumped my child support up to $650. It was $650 child support, and I was getting him every other weekend and every Tuesday and Thursday. Okay. Dealing with that on top of paying a lawyer, on top of working and maintaining a house with food in it for my kids, like I said, a lot. So with that being done, I started that process. They did it normally. Like I said, my friend with the anger issues, he had to take parenting classes. He had to take a because he was on specific medication to calm that aggressiveness down. He had to take a controlled substance class. A lot of so there's a lot that goes into it. But for me, I was lucky enough to not have to do those things.
Well, he had to pay for those classes too.
Oh, yes, sir. And and the messed up part about it is that he actually had to go to the family of court. I don't want to kind of talk too much about his business because that's not my place. But he went to court because his daughter had explicit stuff on her phone of the mother. Yes. So he took the mom to court because now his daughter is very over sexualized because those things are on the phone. She's obviously seen them, and as a kid you're curious, you know.
Yeah.
And so he took her to court, and with that he had to jump through a lot of hoops. And for me telling you that my daughter has explicit stuff of not just of like downloaded online content, but actually somebody that you see on a daily basis blows my mind. I should not have to jump through these hoops. There should be a reprimand, even if that meant that she needed to be relocated until I could show you that I could be the father that y'all want me to be, because that's what it really boils down to. They left her with the mom and they went to the family of court, and then the family of court said that she should stay with her mom. And so I've definitely seen how biased it can get. Um, but so back to my situation, that was crazy. But back to my situation, I started doing my Tuesday and Thursday paying $650. As soon as I jumped through the hoops to see my son and get my son, she was not bringing him. And somehow in her mind, she felt like because she was the mother, she didn't have to bring him.
Yeah, she didn't have to listen to what the court said.
You signed you signed this citation. You signed this order. So when I took her to court for them to reprimand her for basically not complying with the order, they just gave me my Tuesday. I had my Thursday. They gave me my Tuesday. All right, but there was no reprimanding, meaning that she never got in trouble for not bringing him to me. And I have text messages. Hey, I just want you to know that you're not complying with this order. I am where I'm supposed to be at to pick him up. You are not here. I got my Tuesday. So with that being said, now all I needed was for him to spend the night on Tuesday for me to get my 50-50. When I finally got my 50-50, guess how it became? Because they weren't trying to give it to me, first of all. They weren't trying to give it to me. They couldn't figure out why they didn't want to give it to me, because I was doing everything. I wasn't late to pick him up. He was always pristine with new clothes on or nice clothes on, because as a father, my kids are a representation of me. I'm a big sneakerhead. So, I have nice shoes. I have nice clothes to go with my shoes. So my son is a reflection of me. So my son has nice shoes. My son has nice clothes, so on and so forth. But what came of that was another no-show. If it wasn't for her not showing, I don't think that I would have my 50-50 time shared. And I couldn't tell you why. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't tell you, hey, I'm a great father. I was doing everything I need to do. The court seen that, and I got what I needed. Like, this is not that story. This story is that she kept thinking that everything that she did wasn't going to get her in trouble, and in reality didn't get her in trouble. All it did was serve for me to get what I wanted. No I can't think of the word, but
reprimand. You got it.
Yeah. So there was none of that. It was just, all right, she's messing up. All right, give him that day. Oh, she messed up again? All right, well, give him that day. So now with 50-50, she chose not to bring him on Halloween. And I called my lawyer, and my lawyer's been to all these. My lawyer said, Shelby, what are you expecting them to do? We've done this. This is the third time. This is the third time that we've done this, and nothing has happened to her. You have your 50-50, and he literally said, be happy with your 50-50. Now, as a man that has given it his all to be a father, that rubbed me the wrong way, So I had to let my lawyer go because you're on my side. And if I'm paying you a retainer, or if I'm paying you to do this, I understand that it's a lot of work, and I understand that it's a lot of legwork for you. But if I'm paying you, I need to see with my own two eyes what's going to happen. This third time, there wasn't nothing that they could give me but full custody. You see what I'm saying? I already got 50. So if it meant that, all right, every time that I went in there, they've given me something, then why wouldn't I go in there again to see if they're still going to give me something? But you're choosing not to because she didn't get in trouble. All right, we can be upset that she didn't get in trouble, but I got something. You see what I'm saying? So with that, I fired my lawyer, and with that, I didn't have the money to get another one. So in hindsight, probably shouldn't have went about it that way. But at that time and place, I felt like my cause was very just, and I felt like I wasn't being represented the right way. But with that being said, when I finally got my Tuesday overnight, my child support went from $650 to $49.
Wow.
Yes, for one overnight, I literally had to. And the thing is, I had to do it for 6 months. I had to do that for 6 months. So I'm still getting him Tuesday, Thursday, spend the night, weekend, or send him back to his mom for 6 months. Still paying that $650. Still doing everything that I need to do to show them that I'm adamant about this. To as soon as they give me my Tuesday overnight, I only pay $49 a month. The only reason why I'm paying $49 a month was because I was making more money than her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with that as well. If he's with me, I need to be responsible for the stuff that he has at my house, and it should be vice versa. If he's at with his mom, everything that she has,
Yeah.
and go on, so on and so forth.
Well, and anything outside of the household, you all can
We
split if you
meet,
need to.
we meet halfway. So,
Right.
like I said, I paid for and I think that that's something that I'm gonna try to find a new lawyer, and once I find a new lawyer, we're gonna have to go back to court because, like I said, my son needs therapy. I feel like he has a lot that he needs to talk about, and granted, and I feel like I've given him that safe space to where he
Mm-hmm.
can talk to me, but I feel like some of the stuff that he doesn't want to tell me because he knows that it's going to be a problem, and it may get back to his mom
Yeah.
or you know what I'm saying, or
He
something
has
of that
fear.
nature.
Yeah.
So
Well,
me for
let
him
me
to talk, go ahead.
let me give you some advice on that. So a child law lawyer is good, but when it comes down to you have gotten everything, you've proven everything and all that stuff, your next step is civil law. You
Hmm.
can civilly sue her and to show the negligence, to show because it comes down to money. You can sue over $20,
Yeah.
in the United States. So the other way that you can show those things is through civil court. You got a whole new lawyer. They're not biased underneath of the child protection laws and all that stuff and everything. It's a whole different world, which can tie to criminality just as well as family law does. So one thing that you might want to do when you're shopping for a lawyer is also talk to civil lawyers. Now, a lot of civil lawyers don't get paid until they win. So you don't have to pay them anything, no retainer or anything like that. They
That's
fall under
hilarious.
the same thing as like if you get into an auto accident, they're suing the auto company, like Morgan and Morgan and stuff like
Right.
that, right? Not to throw any names out there and stuff like that, or misrepresent any lawyers or anything, but it's that same kind of style that a
Hmm.
lot of these people they get paid from what comes with it because these are lawsuits. So you get this big money back. It's like, say that you can prove that your baby's mother has defamed you and it's kept you from getting a job, or it's, caused parental alienation between you and your child or something like that. You can sue for money over that. And at that, when you're suing for the money, you have the ability to show all the things that a family law court won't take into consideration because a lot of times especially with women that are all crazy and wild and do all these things, they'll get to a point where there's the hearing when you can finally present evidence and they'll dismiss it and nothing happens.
Right.
So when they go to civil, they have to hear those things.
Hmm.
So explore that when you go shopping for a lawyer, and you can start doing that, now because you don't have to have the retainer.
Right. Most definitely. Didn't I did know that. I'm learning a lot today. Um, but guys, man, this is a great podcast. Definitely, definitely tune in. We definitely have a lot. My guy has a lot of knowledge. I hope that y'all enjoyed my story. Um, everything else is great over here. So hope
Well, I
everything's great over
appreciate you
there.
coming on, Shelby. Thank you so much. And you're my brother, and you can reach out to me anytime. It doesn't have to be over this podcast or anything like
Most
that, man. I'm
definitely.
here
Most
for you for
definitely.
sure. And I appreciate you coming on. And before we sign out, I want to say, um, I've already said that I'm religious, so I'm going to end these podcasts with saying something that a lot of people have never heard from the Bible. It's something that Jesus had said, and it's Matthew 18 and 19. And this isn't verbatim, don't quote me exactly, but Jesus said, "For anyone who begets a child upon sin in my name or in anyone's name should have a great millstone tied to their neck and thrown into the sea." And the same thing was said when Babylon, which was a city of massive sin, was to be broken away, that they would tie a millstone from their neck to change and to put Babylon into the sea. It was eradicated because of all of the things that were happening that were wrong. And that's what's happening in society these days is that people are compounded by their friends to tell them they're doing this and they're doing that and supporting all the wrong behaviors instead of telling them, hey, you need to do better. and stuff like that. So that's why we say we are the millstone. And now, my friend, you're part of the millstone. And thank you so much for
So
being here. For
I
sure.
appreciate you having me, man.
All right, brother. Well, I'll talk to you later. All right, Shelby.
All right, my guy.
All right, buddy. Bye.